Eagles. Do we have a good one? So the first game of the season is going to be on Thursday night, September 4th, against the Cowgirls. They know how to set up drama, don't they? They know how to get the views and the people all riled up because now, even though this is May 12th, this is getting everybody foaming at the mouth, right? For any team, right? Any team who faces the previous year's champ, it's like, all right, can we beat last year's champ? Now, of course, that's kind of odd because last year's champ generally doesn't have the same team makeup on offense or defense. The coaching staff may have changed. There's a lot of factors that change at the beginning of the year. So really the first 3 or 4 games of the seasons are kind of your warm-up because they don't really play the starters in preseason. Since there's no preseason warm-up, the first couple of games are jittery. But they decide to put the Dallas Cowboys against the Eagles. Now, this comes on the heels of the was it George Pickens stuff, right? We're like, oh yeah, now we're contenders, and now we can take anybody. Oh, put us up against the Eagles. Let's be real. Playing against the Cowboys, let's say we're in a bad year, when we're in a slump and we stink. The 2 games, if we're going to stink for a whole year, the 2 games that we want to win more than any other game are the games against the Cowboys, right? However, I will take a loss against the Cowboys any day of the week if it means that we go on to win the Super Bowl. And that's the thing that they don't get. What they do is say, Dak owns Philly. Dak's overall record beating Philly is 9-4. He's 9-4 against the Eagles. He owns y'all. Y'all can't never beat him, this, that, and the other. Okay, it's a good record. I say 2 things can be true. It's a good record against the Eagles, but it does nothing for your playoffs when you can't make it past the first round. And when you got ants in your pants in the first round of the playoffs and can barely get out of there. And if you do, you're for sure gone for the last 30 years. So it can be a benchmark for saying, okay, how did our trades work in our favor or to our detriment when the first week goes against the champs? Because you have the Eagles, they're going to be hanging the banners. All the fans that couldn't go to the Super Bowl, now here's their first official season game. It's going to be packed out no matter who was playing. But Dallas games especially are packed out because of the rivalry between the 2 teams. So now you got even more hype going into that first game. The Cowboys definitely don't want to be there watching the Eagles hanging out the banner. You know, they're talking about, oh, we got 5 and y'all only have 2. Again, that's true. But when your 5 are from your daddy's or your granddaddy's era and not yours, you weren't alive to see him, or if you were alive, you're too young to know what was happening. Does that really count? You mean to tell me that win in 95, you can hold the same regard for that win as you could if you won last year? Can you? No, you can't. Because if it was last year, you would still be rocking the Super Bowl 59 gear and the champion stuff, right? You would still be on the high that we're all on of just winning and just being able to celebrate that for ourselves and for our children and our grandchildren, right? Now, they're little. You see my grandbaby all the time. She's little. It might not mean as much to her. I mean, she's excited because I'm excited and she loves the Eagles. Great. But it's really not the same as when she's a little bit older and maybe she's a teenager or in her early 20s. That Super Bowl will mean a lot more to her maybe than when she was little. Maybe. I don't know. Because we... you hear her in the background. She got to spend time with me and with the family and enjoying the wins. So it may still hold some sentiment for her. I don't want to discount that. And I hope it does. Because it meant a lot for me. And it meant a lot because my son or one of the kids was a 49ers fan. He was like, oh, Brock Purdy, he liked the underdog story of how he was Mr. Irrelevant and not drafted and how he could take his team all the way to the top, going to the NFC Championship, and he got hurt the 1 year against Philly, but then subsequently following it up with a dog fight against the Chiefs that they ended up losing. But then you had the following year, and he's like, you know what? I'm done with the 49ers. He said, you know what, Pops? It's time to wear my true blue colors, the colors I should have always been wearing, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. And you don't know how much I love that. I had to hook him up with a Jalen Hurts Super Bowl 59 patch jersey to start him off, and then as time progresses, we'll grow his collection. He already wants a Saquon jersey, so we'll see how that goes. But that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, right? That kind of excitement. He's an adult. That it means more when you get to witness it and you get to absorb it versus saying, yeah, I had 5, and if I want to watch it, it's hard to watch it. It's grainy. They might be online, but the quality's not that good. Maybe that stadium didn't exist. I'm not saying that's the case with the Cowboys. I think they've been in AT&T for a while. But, hey, be quiet. But it's just the dynamic is different from all those years ago than it is when you're in the current time, and you get to tout the championship. And then you got another thing. Dak's been in the league since 2016, right? So he's watched Nick Foles go and win it. He's watched Jalen Hurts go twice and win once. And he hasn't been able to get it. Now, I know you're not trying to tell me, Dallas fans, that Jerry Jones has not put together a Super Bowl caliber team in the entire time he's been there, because he has. And I've heard you talk about how elite their defense was, how elite their offense was, how they had a shot. So let's not go with the recency bias of, oh, last year they didn't have anybody and he was hurt. Okay, you mark that one off his record. And you mark off when he got his legs snapped into pieces when he was on the field and got carted off. Okay, we can take those away. Of course, he was hurt. But the other years he was playing, and he had good teams, and then he made it to the playoffs, and he had good regular season records with those teams, he did not get the job done. Poor time management, bad decision making, all the kind of stuff that ruins your chances to go on and compete. And that's who you have right now as a quarterback. Now, who knows what Dak turns into this year? I'm leaning on a safe bet as he's the same old Dak. He got paid, but what's really different about him? Is he now more motivated because he's got a bigger deal? I doubt that. I highly doubt that. I think we're going to have more of the same for the Cowboys. Yeah, I think you're going to have a slight improvement. I think maybe, what y'all have last year? I think like 7 wins. So let's say 9, 10 wins this year. You make an improvement over last, but nothing gargantuan, nothing so huge that makes you a contender for the Super Bowl. That's just my opinion. And I'll only have the year and the season to be proven wrong. I don't have to be worried about how y'all season plays out. I don't have to be worried about if you go 12 wins, 13 wins, because your regular season to me is completely irrelevant. The only thing that matters to me is, what do you do once you make it to the playoffs? How do you behave in that first round? Do you make it to the second round? How do you play there? Do you even get by? If you don't, then I don't want to hear the mess. Even if the Eagles don't go far and don't go back to the Super Bowl, we've been further than your team has been. So I don't want to hear all this nonsense about what your regular season record is against the Eagles. It's just nonsense. You got a good regular season record against them. Okay, regular season means nothing. Prove it in the playoffs. Prove it when the lights are brightest. So you're saying, oh, the moment's going to be too big for the Eagles and Hurts. How? How, Sway? How, when we just come off a Super Bowl where the lights can't be brighter than that, is going to be the first game of the season going to be too bright for us? Look at last year, where we started off 2-2, and it looked like doom and gloom. And then from them, it was, whew, It was just lights out for the rest of the year. The first couple of games, again, don't matter. Even if we lose this game, which I don't want, but even if we lose it, it does not determine the rest of our season. The rest of our season could be lights out. We could get our groove together in game 4, game 5, and take off like we did last year. Just like any team can, honestly. So it will be very, very nice. Very nice, let me not lie, to trounce the Cowboys like we did last season. But if we don't, they'll be able to talk trash, and I'll just have to be able like that. Hey, it's warranted. You whooped us, you beat us, but let's see what you do in the post. Can you make it? Can you get there? Can you seal the deal? And the answer almost certainly is no. You can't. You got marginally better in the running game. Let me say that, because you got our boy Miles. You know what? It should really be a crime to play as an Eagle for multiple years. We're not talking about like a 1-year deal. 1-year deal, yes, that's not that. But multiple years on the Eagle, you should never, ever, ever put on a Dallas Cowboys jersey, ever. And the same vice versa. If you're a Cowboy, I'm pretty sure you agree that a Dallas Cowboy that has been there for years should not become an Eagle. That should be a law. The NFL should write that into the rules. Why they're making up all these nonsense rules? They need to make that a rule. But your running game got marginally better adding him. But how often are you going to use him? Are you going to use him the proper way? Are you going to hand the ball off to him 10, 15, 17 times to let him get his reps, let him get his feet and his legs ready, and give you the missing piece that you've had, because you really had no run game and you really not been able to stop the run. If you kind of sew up that piece, I'll be legitimately like saying, oh, okay, they may have actually figured it out. They may have, flipped the switch. Or now that you got Pickens and you know how he throws a fit, if you're not throwing it to him 30 or 40 times, there's not enough ball game to go around to feed both monsters. So if you're going to have a diva that's downfield, complaining that he's not getting his targets in, you're not throwing 50-50 balls to him, or, we know you're going to do it to CD. But if you're not doing that, how are you going to balance that? That's going to be interesting. We'll see. You know how we balance it. We're going to beat you up however we need to beat you up. If you want to let Saquon go unchecked, Saquon will run you over for 200 yards. If you want to bottle up Saquon, guess what? AJ, Devontae, Dallas, if we still got Calcaterra, if we still got Dotson. I don't know. I can't remember if he's still there or not. If we got these other weapons out there, we can make it happen. We have shown that time and time again. You just think because it goes away every now and then and we go back to the running game that it's not there. But Hurts has proven time and time again what it takes, he will get done. Or him. You got to watch him. Because he will scramble on you too, or have a design run. Listen, the Eagles are a complete team. They're a complete package. And from what I can tell, the Dallas Cowboys are the same old slop. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's what it looks like. Until they prove otherwise, that's what they look like. I'm excited about this first week. I wish that I could be there, but I'm not trying to sell my soul for tickets to this first opening night game with against the Cowboys. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to go to the regular spot and cheer it on with my fellow Eagles fans, and we hope for a glorious victory. And if we set the year off right, whooping y'all tail, please be quiet. You are in contention for 3rd or 4th place, because I honestly think with the additions to the Commanders, they're going to be better again too. Now, they may have a sophomore slump. That's not my concern. My concern isn't any other team but the Eagles. But I think you better watch them too. Oh, and don't think Russ is completely washed. If Russ has some people to throw it to, you better watch out for Russ. That's a big improvement over Drew Lock and Danny Dimes and them. That's an improvement for them as well. So you never know. You never know. But as far as the Eagles are concerned, come on into the house and let's see what you got. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's go, Birds.